These are faces of Black Germany, a nation forged by migration and memory. This is Europe's memorial to its murdered Jews.
We are very aware of our history because we have very dark chapters in German history. Being responsible for what happened and making sure it can never happen again is like a vivid part of being German.
This is a modern country, praised for its openness and its ability to self-critique and atone for the sheer horrors of its past. This includes a recent apology for genocide committed in Namibia a century ago, albeit there is more to do.
Talking about Namibia, there has been no reparations been paid.
Today the country is outward looking and has opened doors that others have closed. But as the face of this nation changes, the rising voice of Germany's Black communities, galvanized by BLM, say they have been excluded from Germany's story and even marginalized by it. The man behind the piano is one of the stars of Berlin's new cultural landscape, redefining what it means to be German.
Now today I can tell you a German can look Turkish, Arabic, Chinese, Black. I think the football did a good job on it. Like there are good examples that the nation is changing, and there are people that look different but can wear a German jersey, and people start to begin to accept that it's normal. But at the same time, there's a lot of work to do.
Migration has built Europe, and Germany is no different. A Black presence can be traced here to the 17th century, many enslaved, given as gifts, or placed in human zoos. Today, many Black Germans are the children of Germany's so-called guest workers. After the war, migrants from Eastern Europe, Turkey, and Africa were invited to work, but without being allowed citizenship. This has now changed, but Angelo remembers the stigma.
I definitely experienced a lot of racism. Us being Black, and specifically my dad being from Angola, so not being German, that was always something that was talked about. So we would be called the N-word in German. Kids were told not to play with us. My mom and my dad would be insulted for having a relationship with each other. Well, even nowadays, like, people are sometimes confused that I actually speak German.
It is experiences like Angelo's why the seeds of the Black Lives Matter movement has found fertile ground in Germany. This was BLM Berlin. At a time the movement has led to the monuments of Europe's colonial and racist past being challenged, for many, Germany is seen as a thriving example of how to do it. But not everyone agrees. Do you think that Germany is a good example of how to reconcile the painful parts of the past with the present?
Many Germans don't even know about the colonial history of this country, so I wouldn't say that they are being a good example, specifically when it comes to actually naming things to be racist and calling out racist structures, doing investigations when it comes to police brutality that is based on racism. And I think one of the reasons why a lot of people don't know is because you don't really have the same statistics as in other countries, like the US, for example.
Like much of Europe, Germany does not record data on ethnicity. A lesson learnt from the past. The Nazis used ethnic data to target Jews during the Holocaust. But in the multicultural community of Wedding, there are growing calls for Germany to record race again.
So in order for us to also understand structural discrimination in the job market or in school or whatnot, we need that data. And the data that we want to collect is not data that will make it possible for you to say, okay, this is Jeff, he's a Black man and he lives in Wedding, but it is data that would just show on an aggregate.
Aminata Touré, trained by President Obama's foundation, is one of the rising stars in German national politics, campaigning for better data despite the concerns.
I absolutely understand why we in Germany have issues with recording such data. But what we had in the last few months is that the Black community in Germany organized that we can do this research, that we can collect this data. And I think this year has been the first year where we have been visible.
This new voice is having an impact. Berlin's modern Strasse is changing its name. More is an offensive term for Afro-Germans. Whilst Britain resists calls to change memorials and colonial names, what it means to be German is a constant question.
Asking the question, what does it mean to be German, is typical German. other nations don't question themselves as much as we do. And I think it's healthy that we do so, because it keeps us aware of new tendencies of populism or right-wing movements, or even people who deny Holocaust or anything.
It is German self-awareness that is leading the British to Berlin. This Caribbean fusion restaurant has become a haven for the black middle class, making Germany home.
Well, in the last 5 years, so many people have moved to the city.
Charmaine Lovegrove is one of them.
In Germany, it's very clear that people have tried to reconcile themselves with the past, but also understand that there are vast inequalities here, there are issues here. And in the UK, not understanding white privilege, not understanding empire, not understanding the slavery precludes people from engaging in the debate.
In this restaurant is a reminder of how BLM has ended up here. There's a place setting for the black Americans and black Germans who have died in police custody. Each name another stone in a global movement demanding recognition.